Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and today was D-Day for former attorney Michael Avenatti. If you guys remember, Michael Avenatti was found guilty well over a year ago in the case where he was charged with trying to extort money from Nike, money in the tune of $25 million. He had gone to them on behalf of a guy who was a coach with the AAU League, and I'll actually drop links above for some videos that I did when he was originally charged and everything that went down with the telephone call with Nike where he was trying to extort them. But he has been out of jail. You know, he was arrested, taken into custody after he was found guilty in the Nike case, but he was able to finagle his way out of jail and to be allowed to leave New York and go live with a friend in California. And during that time, he put in numerous motions to have his return to prison delayed and extended. He tried to have the Nike case overturned, and he just kept going on and on until his luck finally ran out, and the judge tired of him as well as the prosecutors. And so they had set a July 9th sentencing date, but he kept filing so many motions that the judge came back and said, you know what, we're going to do it on July 8th because it's time that you have your reckoning. And so today he entered court to face those charges, and he looked like he's aged a bit. I mean, he's 50 years old, but he just doesn't seem like that energetic, arrogant guy, you know, who was representing Stormy Daniels against President Donald Trump, and who called himself representing all of these accusers in the R. Kelly case. And he actually made a statement on the Nike call where he was trying to extort the money from them, where he basically said that, you know, even with cases like Trump and R. Kelly, that 90% of what you're being told is BS, you know, but it's the 10%, I guess he's saying, that gets them in the end. Federal court, you can't come into the courtrooms with cameras. Sometimes they don't even allow recording devices. But a guy on Twitter by the name of Stephen Brown at PPVSRB, he is actually in the courtroom, and I am going to read some of his play-by-play that he's posted. He says, Judge Gaddafi rules that federal guidelines recommend a sentence for Avenatti of 108 to 235 months in prison. Avenatti, of course, had asked for much less time. He actually only wanted to spend 6 months in jail and 1 year of home detention, which he would then probably turn around and say that he had already spent the 6 months in jail and did the 1 year of home detention because he was locked up prior to COVID-19 and being able to get out on home confinement. So then he goes on to say Avenatti's attorney, Daniel Perry, says that Avenatti lost his way and he knows that. And then she also confirms that Avenatti wanted to address the court. You know, of course he did, because he always wants to get the final say in everything. So Avenatti says that he was embarrassed by the recordings of him negotiating with Nike, according to Perry, and he sounds in those recordings like a character, someone who refers to himself in third person and can bend others to his will just because he's Michael Avenatti. And then she goes on to talk about how horrific it was for him, you know, the 100 days that he spent in the MCC, as though all the other thousands of prisoners aren't experiencing those same conditions, and why she thinks that Avenatti is somehow special and that he doesn't deserve, you know, to be in that type of environment. after he has been found guilty. Like, we could see if he was still awaiting trial, where, you know, you have a presumption of innocence, but he has been found guilty by a jury of his peers. And so he, you know, these are the consequences that he must face. And so it says, as an AUSA in the Southern District of New York for 11 years, Perry says that she never went inside the MCC and was shocked at what she saw. She acknowledges her failure to visit the jail right next door to Southern District of New York headquarters was problematic. No, you were just showing your privilege that you didn't have to go over there to the jail because you didn't know nobody over there other than the people that you had prosecuted and sent there. So then the assistant United States attorney by the name of Podolsky, he got up and spoke and said that he wanted to talk about the hard-nosed negotiations, a thin line, or nasty language, and said that it was about deceit, it was about threats, it was about taking from others. And he's referring to, you know, Michael Avenatti and how arrogant he was when he was on those phone calls with Nike trying to take this money. And so Podolsky hints at why Mark Geragos was not charged. And if you're familiar with the case, Mark Geragos is a famed attorney, and he was also on those calls with Michael Avenatti. But this assistant United States attorney is saying that Geragos did not meet with Coach Franklin, who is the guy that Avenatti said that he was representing in the Nike case. And then Geragos also did not demand that Nike pay him money as Avenatti did. Geragos was just sitting on the call listening to what was going on. And then, of course, he probably was a witness for the government when they decided to press charges. So Michael Avenatti finally gets up to speak. And so he says, when I was a child, I dreamed about becoming a lawyer, but then I lost my way. I betrayed my own values, my friends, my family, myself. I betrayed my profession. I became driven by the things that don't matter in life. And then he went on to say, all of the fame, notoriety, and money in the world is meaningless. TV and Twitter, your honor, mean nothing. Everyone wants to ride in a limo with you, but very few are willing to sit next to you on the bus. Even fewer are willing to take your calls from prison. And then he begins to choke up and get emotional, you know, trying to get sympathy from the judge. And he says, I look forward to working hard to become the person I once was, but I know I will never have the privilege of practicing law again. I am thankful for my few friends who have stood by me. I alone have destroyed my career, my relationships, my life. There is no doubt that I deserve to pay, have paid, and will pay a further price for what I have done. And then he closed out his statement by saying, every father wants his children to be proud of him, but I want mine to be ashamed. If they are ashamed, it means their moral compass is exactly where it should be. So after Michael Avenatti finished his statement, the judge decided that he was going to do a reading of the Avenatti recordings and basically remind Michael Avenatti of what he did. And so in one line of the recording, he says, I'm not effing around with this thing anymore. I'll go take $10 billion off your client's market cap. And he's basically talking to the Nike attorneys when he says this and referring to the valuation of Nike's stock when he says that he'll take $10 billion off. And then he read a line where it says, have you ever held the balls of a client in your hand where you can take $5 or $6 billion off of them? This is going to be a major effing scandal. I'm going to bring the power of my platform to bear. This is going to be the biggest scandal. And it looks like it turned out to be the biggest scandal for Michael Avenatti because he has gotten himself into a situation that doesn't look like he's going to be able to get out of anytime soon. And then keep in mind that in Michael Avenatti's mind, he was going to take this money that he hoped to get from Nike and pay off all this money he had stole from his clients, all this debt that he was in. But instead, it created a domino effect because it then began to unveil all the unscrupulous illegal things that he had been doing, how he was financing businesses, homes, fake tax documents, all types of things. And so it doesn't seem like he understands the severity of what he did, not only with the Nike case, but in stealing money from all of his clients. And I believe that when the judge finally gets around to giving us the sentence, that it is going to be pretty harsh. But let's hold on and see what else comes out. So after reading the statements, the judge said Mr. Avenatti's conduct was outrageous. He hijacked his client's claims and he used those claims to further his own agenda, which was to extort millions of dollars from Nike for himself. The judge goes on to say that Mr. Avenatti had become drunk on the power of his platform, or what he perceived the power of his platform to be. He had become someone who operated as if the laws and rules that applied to everyone else did not apply to him. Now here comes the BS. The judge then says that he believes that 108 months is too much time for Mr. Avenatti to spend in jail, and he says that Mr. Avenatti was held in horrific conditions at the MCC for more than 3 months in solitary confinement for much of the time. Conditions were terrible, hard to believe they could occur in the United States of America. Now I wonder if he feels that way about all the other thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people that are serving sentences in United States federal jails, county jails, and state jails that are also in deplorable conditions. He also believes that Mr. Avenatti, or Michael Avenatti, doesn't deserve to be sentenced based on the guidelines that were issued by the Bureau of Prisoners, because Mark Garagos wasn't charged, and he called Garagos a central figure in the criminal conduct. But isn't that what happened in all cases where you have people that don't get charged who should be charged, and it's usually because they're providing evidence in order to convict the bigger person? So we see where this is headed right now. This is definitely white privilege at its best. In the end, the judge sentenced Michael Avenatti to 30 months in prison. So that comes out to what, 2.5 years that he'll have to serve. And let's just wait and see if he allows him to serve it on home confinement, or if he actually has to go to prison. And then once he's found guilty on the other charges for stealing the money from his clients and for stealing the money from Stormy Daniels, which that case takes place next year, will those sentences be concurrent to this sentence, or will they be consecutive, meaning that they're added on to the 2.5 year sentence, and then once they get the sentence for the other clients, then Stormy Daniels' case comes up, then her sentence, will it be added on, or will they all run concurrent? And so at the end of the day, Michael Avenatti only got 2.5 years, 30 months in prison, of which he probably will not serve the entire time. Or he'll get leeway for time served, and so he may just knock time off because he's already done 3 months in prison. He's done a year of home confinement already. So is that going to come off the 30 months, or will it be the 30 months be in addition to that? Then Avenatti had the nerve to start crying after he received his sentence. I don't know, guys. That's it. Go ahead, leave your comments below, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.